You ready?
This is the Canik TTI Combat. There's been no handgun more talked about, more hyped, more compensated than the TTI Combat. Why? Well, first of all, have you seen the thing? It's pretty awesome. It looks beautiful, gorgeous, all the things. And Terran Tactical Innovations, they're hyped. You know, they're in all the John Wick movies, and this gun has got a lot of buzz around it, and for good reason. I do want to let you guys know that this gun did come directly from Canik, so take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt, if you will. But that said, my purpose in having this gun, there was no expectations from them, but the expectation that I put out there into the world is I'm going to run this gun. I'm going to put as many rounds through it as I can. I'm going to find its failure point. I'm going to figure out where it breaks. Does it break? And we're going to let people know, because I think you deserve to know. You are the consumer. You're putting almost $1,000 into a gun. You should know if it's worth your time. Now, we did a video previously discussing the gun, just having conversations with employees at Canik and whatnot. And some of you did come in the comments and let us know that you did have an issue or two. So I do want to address that. I want to show you guys some of the footage that we've got capturing our shooting. And of course, if we had any issues, I want you to know about it.
This gun's got a lot of race gun features, such as slide cuts, you know, lightning cuts, all these things that you're used to seeing in like competition guns or super beefcake guns. A lot of features that you would have to pay a lot of money for if you, say, bought a standard Canik or a Glock and decided to do it up. This would be rather expensive to do, but at the price point of like $950 or something like that, like not barely $1,000, you get these out the box, which is awesome. So one of the greatest features, right? One of the greatest features that I love in Walther Caniks and designs like this is that oversized slide release. With my Glock 45, which is my duty carry, it's kind of small and it's kind of a pain to hit, but with this it's easy. It's huge, it's oversized, and it's almost impossible to miss. Canik's triggers have always been great, but between the Rival S, and the TTI Combat, this trigger is amazing. It's super crisp, 90-degree break, super short reset. It's kind of crazy. I mentioned this before in my Rival S video. Step back just a little bit. See if you can see that checkering pattern. It's not, or that semi-aggressive pattern. It's the little things in life that you can come to appreciate and really helps you to fall in love with a gun. Now, the question is, you know, we brought up competition a lot. Is this a proper competition gun? I recently had a conversation with The Humble Marksman, great reviewer, and we argued that no, this is probably not the ideal competition gun for one of the most popular leagues in the United States, USPSA, because when you shoot in competition and you got the comp and you have the certain size and feature set that this gun is built for, you're going to be pushed into the division called open. You're racing against guns that are much more expensive and even more capable. And if you just want to have fun and you're not necessarily trying to be competitive, cool, this is a fun gun to do it with. But it's specifically in USPSA, if you're going to go into open, this gun is not necessarily ideal.
Nils has won, you know, national championships with Caniks against 2011s, but Nils is a freak. Nils is not the rule. The Terran Tactical, like that's kind of it's an interesting one because Terran Tactical is known for two things: the movie guns, and then making like race guns for 3-gun competition. And so the TTI Combat, it's like, what is it trying to be? Is it the Terran Tactical like competition side, or is it that? Because it's got a compensator. So like IDPA carry optics is still on the table. You could shoot it there. But nothing in USPSA makes sense because it's an open gun as far as USPSA is concerned.
Right.
You could say it's a carry gun, but if you felt the grip texture on it, it's a good aggressive grip texture, which I wouldn't want anywhere close to my skin.
Talking about the ammo that we're running, because that's going to be a big question. What can you run? What can you not run? Right now, we're running some range time. I think it's part of like Freedom Munitions 115s. These are remans, so there's always a chance that these might not work the way you want them to. Running some Blazer brass 115s. I thought I brought the 124s, did not. And those generally are my preferred round. And I bought a big pack of 250 Monarch 9mm brass 115s, and we will see how these run, because these are kind of like cheaper, maybe a little bit dirtier, but I think it'll run just fine.
Now the question is, did I have any issues? Did the gun fail on me? Is the gun worth your time? We're going to get into that, but first we do need to talk about our sponsor, Aura. So if you're like me, you carry one of these things for self-protection, and that's great. But who's protecting your bank account? Who's protecting your social security number, your passwords, your emails, all the important things that link directly to you? Who is watching over that? Within the first week of using Aura, they already began removing me from the list for calls, text, and email. 32 different entities had access to my information and were using it to harass me. As you know, this is an endless game of whack-a-mole, and I don't have to do the work. Aura's got my back, which is amazing. The great thing is that anytime anything even a little bit fishy happens on my account, Aura is really quick to reach out and let me know what's going on through text, email, through the app and everything. So if something weird does happen, Aura does have the capability and the means to help somebody like me with a $5 million policy set up just in case something crazy happens. Tomorrow we could hear about another data breach. At the end of the day, doesn't matter, Aura's got your back. From credit and transaction monitoring to the VPNs and different blocking resources that are available to you, Aura's taking care of me and my family. And if you want them to take care of you and your family, definitely check the link in the description for a free 2-week trial. That's enough time for Aura to go through, identify any potential threats, and let you know. They have the tools required to handle this issue. And if you let them, 2-week trial should be enough for you to figure out how much you really love this service, and of course, go from there. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. What is this for? Are you buying it for USPSA competition? Are you buying it for some sort of other competition? Are you buying it because it's a TTI that's affordable? Because a lot of like the Combat Masters, not affordable, very expensive. But for this gun, because it's comes comped, you don't have to go out and buy an additional comp. If you go to Parker Mountain Machine or Radian, those comps can be a couple $100, $300 to $400 depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking at barrels and comp ports, and then maybe you got to buy a new spring. This already comes tuned out of the box. It comes with 2 springs. So if we're talking about just overall value, I think the price point makes sense. At $950, you can go up, you can go down. If you're talking about, plates ready to go in the box, that's helpful. Now, when we're talking about value proposition, one of the things that I do care about is, how does the gun shoot overall? This gun is extremely accurate. So what does that mean? Is it me, or is it the gun that's accurate? And I would say a little bit of both. Although I have missed with this gun, and I look back in the footage, and I'm like, oh, okay, I missed because I anticipated and I drove the gun downwards right before you fire. Just like as you're pressing the trigger, you dip the gun. Like, yeah, anytime I missed, it's because of me. Nothing to do with this gun. The sights are super bright. I can see like easily from 25 yards back, ping and steel, doing my thing with the iron sights. That's not always the case with certain guns. Easily done with the iron sights. I do want to talk about the optics system. So it does come with some plates to give you options right out of the box on how you want to mount. And, probably the best system to do is go ahead and get something RMR. So I reached out to my guys at Holliston, got the 507 comp. That's their big competition RMR's footprint optic, one of the best that I think they've created. And thank goodness it's compatible, because I really don't want to have to get anything else. But the issue that I had is the screws that came in the box. They were longer, which, I think they were the correct length, but for some reason they didn't fit. So I don't know if there was an issue with the supplier of the screws or whatever. I still need to talk to Canik about that, because obviously they deserve to know. We discussed it briefly, but I forgot to follow up with them. Sorry, guys. That is something to note, is in the box, the screws that came with it didn't quite fit, and the screws that came with this optic fit easily. Okay, so like how does that actually shoot? Like how flat is it? Is it just amazing? Does it shoot like just like a sewing machine? And the answer is yes. The gun shoots really, really well. If you apply your fundamentals and you make sure you lock in and do what you're supposed to do, the gun's going to shoot as good as anything else that you can get your hands on, and probably even a little bit better, especially considering it's got a bunch of additional features to enhance your grip, and of course, to make sure that it gets out of your way when you're shooting. That's a big deal. Now, if we talk about like how much work does the comp do, it's hard to really differentiate between like comp and non-comp on this, because there's no one-to-one copy of this gun that does not have a comp. Now, you might say Canik Rival, or you might say Canik Mete, or like the SFX Pro or something like that. I don't think so. They are two different guns, close maybe, and you'll probably see some, hey, Canik Rival versus Canik TTI. And if you want to see that video from us, from me, you just say Rival in the comments, and I'll come out and we'll do a comparison video between the Canik Rival and the TTI Combat. But if we talk about how flat can we go with this gun, I think it helps. I also think it helps when you start playing around with the different spring weights, because in the box it comes with 2 springs. 1 second. So this is the box with the second spring. You open it up, it says low. So you'll never be confused on, do I have the low spring or like the regular spring? One thing that the Canik guys did let me know is that the low spring and the regular spring are both pretty significantly different than your standard spring that you would get, like say with a Glock or something like that. It's going to be a little bit lighter, and that's due to, you know, the nature of a TTI collaboration gun that's just going to have a lighter recoil spring, point blank, period. Yeah, so I mean, we got the lighter recoil spring, and I think with the lighter recoil spring, it does give you a bit of a flatter experience, in my opinion. You know, somebody might say it's the other way around. I don't think that person would know what they're talking about. So this isn't the first time we're actually talking about the TTI Combat. In the past, we've gauged some excitement for the gun with the upcoming release. And in that video, a few of you let me know that you were having some issues with failure to return the battery, things like that. And, you know, when I brought those issues up to Canik directly, they said, hey, we've seen a few isolated incidents. And in those isolated incidents, we believe that it's potential skill issue with some limp wristing. But regardless, they were willing to send out an enhanced recoil spring to kind of work through some of those issues. And of course, if you watched the video that we had with the Humble Marksman, great competition shooter, he did let us know that with comped guns, you can potentially have different issues if your form isn't impeccable. That said, is it the gun? Is it you? Is it the springs? Is there like maybe one fatal flaw that's causing the issues? I can't speak to that. I know that this gun has run relatively smoothly, minus 1 or 2 other things, and we will talk about that a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. But in regards to the fix, if for some reason you did pick up one of these guns, you already have it, or you were going to pick one up tomorrow, and maybe you had some issues that you feel like weren't being worked out with fresh ammo or improving your grip or something like that, Canik did let me know that they were providing an enhanced recoil spring to purchasers who potentially did need it. You know, obviously, if you guys need it, they'll take care of you, and I'm confident that they'll do that. I'm also very confident that the vast majority of people who have owned and operated this handgun have had a fantastic time with it. But if for some reason you're in a group of people who maybe didn't have the best time with this gun, definitely hit up Canik and see if they're able to help you out. Okay, so the moment of truth. What issues did I have with this gun? I had a few, and truthfully, I believe that they're all ammo related, minus one. One was a little bit weird where, and you'll see in the video, but I press checked the gun and I let it go back in the battery. I think something didn't fully engage.
Let's do the press check, John Wick style press check.
And or it was still just ever so slightly out of battery, just slightly, and it potentially didn't re-engage all the internals, so that the striker could not engage the round and actually send a round downrange. So that was a little weird.
Sorry, just kind of screwed up the feeding, I think, on that. That's what I get for playing around. Put these back in. They weren't struck at all. Just, I think I took it out of battery when I was messing around like that. And good.
Moral of the story is if you want to be a cool guy and press check, give it a little boop when you're done, and that should do the trick. The other issues that we had, we'll show you right now, is we did have some issues when cameraman Nate was running the low spring. There was a few rounds in a cheaper box of Monarch ammo, which you can get like 250 for like 60 bucks, right? From like a sporting goods store. Cheaper ammo can sometimes have some issues. He did have those issues sequentially. I ran through probably about 200 of those 250 rounds. I had no issues. And then he ran into like 4 rounds within like a mag and a half. And that was a little weird. But at the end of the day, that was not the majority of the shooting. I only had one weird little issues with the, probably should have booped it. He ran into those issues, didn't run into the issues again after we noted. And also we didn't have issues ever with the high spring, or only with the low springs. When you're reviewing or analyzing a firearm, you have to look for patterns, right? So am I getting a pattern with this particular ammo when I changed ammunitions, when I went from Monarch to Blazer to, Hornady, whatever it is that you're running? Am I getting a consistent failure to function with this particular thing? And the answer for me with this gun is we did have a consistent issue with the Monarch ammo. I've heard other people complain about it. But here's the cool thing. I'm going to keep this gun, right? So stay tuned, because if we run into any other issues, it would behoove me to let you know. So what are my thoughts on the TTI Combat? And in the words of the great philosopher GHG Hustle, is it a cop or a drop? And obviously it depends on you, but for me, it's a cop. Like, this is a cool gun. I'm super glad I have it. It's one of the coolest guns in my collection. When my brothers come over, I'm just like, hey, bro, you got to check this thing out. This is awesome. And they love it, right? I can't wait for my youngest brother to shoot this gun. He's been looking forward to that. And for him to really just nail down his recoil so it can run like a sewing machine. You've seen some of the footage, and when we're shooting fast and we slow it down for slow-mo, it looks so cool. Is this the most effective compensator in the world for a production gun? The answer is no, but if you spend $2,000 or $3,000 more, you can definitely find out. That said, for $1,000 production gun, I think this is kind of one of the better ones out there. And if you have good fundamentals and you know what you're doing, I think this is a total package. So definitely, if you're interested in this, go ahead and pick it up. Keep in mind what I said. If you have any sort of issues, or you're not able to really run the gun well, or maybe if you have weak wrist, maybe it's not for you. But if you have good shooting fundamentals and you're looking for something fun to kind of take you over the edge of your fun time on the range, out here with shooting with your buddies, maybe doing a competition that would allow this gun, then go for it, man. I'm happy for you. Go make your purchase. Or here's my question: did you already purchase this gun? And now you're asking, did I make a good choice? Yes, you made a good choice. Go shoot your gun. Have a good day. Goodbye.